All right, good morning, everyone. Futures Brizio here, back live. It is Monday, March 10th, 2025, about 11:40 a.m. New York City time, and glad to be back here. As you probably know, I have been away for a week. I did mention that I would not be on last week. I was out of town. I was actually out in Las Vegas for the week, so. I did not make any videos last week, obviously, which, like I said, I did mention prior to my leaving. I didn't take a whole lot of trades last week. I think maybe I took one or two in futures and Forex. So like I said, I just didn't have a lot of time to even look at charts. So my trading was very limited. I think they were pretty decent trades. They weren't anything outstanding because, like I said, I didn't really have time to sit there and really look at a lot. But I am back now, so I figured to just jump on here and do a quick midday update. Not a heck of a lot going on here today, so I kind of spent the morning kind of just resetting and doing some other things and just looking. But it's kind of a typical Monday, so we'll jump right in here and just take a quick review of some of these markets and see where we're at. So we'll start here on copper since that's the chart I have up. And so this is the, again, this is the May contract of copper. And looking at the 12-hour chart here, which is a little bit of a long time frame, but I do like to take the wider view here. And basically what we have here is price had gone up here last week. We went up, tried to make a new high. We failed to make a new high. I'm pulling back now, so I'm kind of just sitting watching copper right now. If we go to a lower time frame, here's the 4-hour. We do have this. We do have this last pullback zone right here. The price is pulling back down towards. So I'm just keeping an eye on this one because it put in this lower high. That's a little bit concerning that maybe we'll roll over and start going down. But it's been in an uptrend here for a while, so I'm certainly not fighting the uptrend. But when it puts in a lower high after coming out of a pullback zone like this, it's certainly something to be aware of, especially on a higher time frame. But you can see the pullbacks in copper can be pretty substantial. They can go on for quite a while, so this is can be a challenging market to trade. So, but you have to respect the uptrend until this area is broken down here. And the way I like to sometimes draw these zones, which I don't talk a lot about, is to put a line chart on temporarily like this, and I can kind of adjust this based on the line chart, because the line chart only shows closing prices, so it doesn't really capture the wicks, which for analysis for zones is pretty good, because at the end of the day, the closing prices are really where the market wanted to settle. So I'll look at stuff like this. It helps me really visualize some of these areas, and then I'll put the candlesticks back on. You can see it pretty much just lets the wicks go, because these are areas that were rejected, and really the closing prices is where it's at. So hey, Castaway, how are you, man? Hope you're doing well. Hope you had a good week last week. So anyway, so that's with copper. Again, this is the 4-hour chart right here. You can see we're still trending down here, but we're kind of in this in-between zone, right? We've got basically this lower high up here and this zone down here. And certainly, again, you can always trade this on the way down, but you can see it's pretty sloppy. The price action going down here is pretty sloppy. So I'm just not trading this at the moment. I want to wait and see if we get, at some point in this pullback, we get a break back above the moving average, or if you draw a downsloping trend line here on this time frame, or a little bit lower, and we get a break above there, you can see it's pretty much, the trend line is pretty much following the 9-period moving average. Then I'll look to long again. But in the meantime, I suspect price will work its way back towards this zone, and then we'll see what happens. But copper is definitely taking a break. But like I said, anytime I see a strong pull out of a zone like this, but then price fails to make a new high, which clearly it did with this. You can see it right here, this trend line on the 4-hour chart. Then you have to always be a little cautious, because obviously every time it's pulled out of these zones before, it's gone up and made new highs without too much fanfare. Right here, back here, this one back here, pretty clear. And now it went up, pretty aggressively to start, and now it's just kind of, coming back down again. So, not saying it's going to roll over, but when it's in kind of this in-between zone, like I like to call it, between the recent swing and in this case, like a support or demand zone, then I just kind of keep an eye on it. So that's that. So on to the DAX. DAX is, the global stock markets have been, really under a lot of pressure lately. Just tariff talks and just et cetera, and just global economy in general being a little questionable. So you can see this did go up and make a new high here, although not a real definitive one on this last pullback right here. Up and made this new high, and this is the 4-hour chart. Pulling back again. And again, it's a lot like copper. We have this zone sitting down here. And so as long as price remains over here, then I still consider this, just in a pullback, although this is, like I said, out of this last zone, it did technically go up and make a new high, but not a particularly impressive one. And so now we're pulling back again, and, we'll see what happens. So once, I suspect price is going to probably work its way back towards this low right down here, and then we'll see. But ultimately, if we're going to enter into a more of a bear market here, I'd want to see price just clear all these lows down here, and then my bias would definitely switch bearish. But for now, it's still bullish as long as we remain above here. And as price works its way down, if we get some bullish momentum, pretty aggressive back to the upside, like an engulfing candle or something, then I would definitely consider that a buying opportunity. But again, it's kind of in that in-between. It's in a pullback zone. Haven't really confirmed a new downtrend, at least not on this time frame. Obviously, if you're trading on short time frames, that's a completely different story. And obviously, that's tradable, but I don't trade on those super short time frames. So, all right, so kind of the same thing with DAX, just kind of keeping an eye and, see what happens here and over the next day or so. So on to natural gas. So I had drawn this earlier last week. And so, again, if we go out to a higher time frame here, you can see this was the last pullback zone right here. And we were kind of like chopping along this trend line on this last pullback. And then finally we broke it up here. We actually gapped higher. This was on Sunday, yesterday, when the market reopened. Just confirm that. Yeah, this was when the market reopened yesterday. We did gap higher out of the open, and then we came back down, and we're currently trading back down again. So this was our last zone. So I'm going to move this one up now, and just look at the line chart. Yeah, that's probably pretty good right there on the line chart. Just capture that little bit right there. So yeah, so this is kind of what I consider to be the zone right now. And this is the 4-hour chart. So, we're heading back down. Are we going to just like retest this former resistance as support and go higher? But again, I'll take this off now. I'll take this arrow off. Basically, as long as, again, we're holding above here, we're still in a bullish stance. And, potentially look for resumptions of uptrends. Obviously, we don't have that now. I do suspect we'll probably, you can tell price is trying to come down and fill in this little gap right here. But this is still pretty bearish. This little move up is nothing. This is the 1-hour chart. So I still suspect that we'll see lower prices in the short term here in natural gas as it works its way probably closer down to this level. Certainly to fill in this gap, which it's almost there. But again, as long as we remain above this swing area, which is the last kind of 4-hour zone, then I'm still bullish on this market. But, there's nothing to trade right now unless you want to trade the pullback down. But I'm trying to keep the larger picture in mind, which is still a bullish trend. And so, like I said, it's a kind of a choice. You say, well, I want to trade the move down, whether you're just trying to catch a counter move trade or whether you're trading on short time frames, like, the 5-minute. But even on the 5-minute, this doesn't look particularly, good to me. This is very choppy. We did have this one little impulsive move down. So I'm not really too impressed with this, but I do think, like I said, prices will continue down at least to some degree. I mean, if you want to trade Fibonacci, the 61.8 is sitting just inside this gap, which is actually, this would be, kind of a self-fulfilling prophecy here, right? You've got a gap here. The 61.8 level sits right at where the gap would be closed, which is basically one more little impulsive push down to this level that would fill the gap. Is that going to be or will we continue down lower? But again, as long as it remains above this zone, it's still overall bullish, although it's short-term bearish. Okay. And then on to oil. I did put oil back on my watch list. I took cattle off. As you probably been watching my video, I've been talking about live cattle. And I just decided to take cattle off because really the issue with cattle is that it has such a very short time frame you can trade it. And I just don't feel... if you don't catch that really narrow window, that's it. There's not going to be another opportunity during the day to trade it. It's not that I take trades on these other markets during after hours for the most part, but I just decided to for now to shelve cattle. But I did add crude oil back on, which I kind of fought with a little bit because I haven't had a lot of good success with crude oil, which is just purely mental, to be honest. It's no different than any other market. But so let's just talk about crude oil. So this is the 12-hour chart again. And I just want to point this out because, although again, it's a little hard on a futures chart, but you can see this level where price is sitting right now between about, what is that, 60, between like $66, $67 has been proven to be a very strong support zone. At least just in this contract month, there's been multiple touches down in this level between, here and where price, as you can see, price twice tried to poke through this level and pulled back into the zone. Now it's trying to go down again, but this level has really been holding pretty well. So, and if you look at the cash chart of the CFD cash chart of crude oil, you're going to see it on here too. Now there are much lower prices on the cash chart going back in time, but those go back to like 2020 when COVID started and the economy just kind of came to a stop and the oil prices went way, way, way down. But that's obviously a kind of a black swan unusual event. For the most part, though, this level about where it's sitting right now historically has kind of held up as kind of the floor that they don't want prices to go lower. So I did have a quick short on this, which I got out of this morning as it approached this level that I took on Friday. That was one of the few trades I took last week. I did close it already because I'm just watching this level. Now, if we come down here and we take out all these lows, particularly this lowest low, which is this one right here that was put in last week on the 5th, so last Wednesday, then, certainly I think we could head lower. But as long as this zone, these lows hold, prices probably will get a bounce from here. Again, there's nothing here right now. I mean, I still have this area up way back up here as kind of the zone right here, because this was the last swing that was put in before this new low was put in. As long as this area doesn't create a new low, I don't consider this a valid pullback area. If we go on to make a new low from here, then I'd move this rectangle down to here. But right now, this is kind of our swing way back up here, which is pretty far away, admittedly. But, here it is on the 4-hour chart. And, we'll see what happens here. But, again, we've been definitely maintaining this level as kind of some really key support. And so as long as price kind of, sits somewhere in this zone here, then, I'm not going to be looking to take any more shorts on this. And price could just chop around in here. But I do suspect, just based on historical uh, areas, that this probably will cause price to bounce from here. But we'll see. But again, if it comes down and we can clear some of these lows, then maybe we will go lower. But right now, I think it's for me, it's not a good area to trade from when it's sitting at kind of well-known historical support zones and lows that the market has wanted to hold. So, all right, so that's crude oil. So not really much from my point of view to do in futures. I'm just kind of watching to see what these do next. They're all kind of in, whether it's transitionary from uptrends to downtrends or vice versa, or whether we're just in big pullback zones. That's fine, but I won't be taking any other trades, I don't think, in these markets today. So, all right, so we'll just take a quick look at Forex. I did make a couple of changes to my watch list here. I still have Swiss yen, and again, so let's just talk here. Swiss yen, again, we have put in, this support zone has been holding for weeks now. We basically have put in 1, 2, 3, 4, almost, basically 5 weeks here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 weekly candles here that have, again, held this area, which has been traditionally been holding as previous resistance here, support. It did break through and swung back up here, support, and now 5 weeks more of support right here. And so as long as that holds, we do have this overhead structure. This was the last swing before this low was put in, which is not a new low technically, but this was the last major swing point, and price is just kind of sitting here. I do have this shorter term trend line sitting here on the 4-hour chart. Price has just been very, very choppy and sloppy for really the last few weeks, and it's just staying basically inside the range between this last zone here and these larger overall lows down here. And so, it's still basically bearish. But as you can see, as right now we're approaching this trend line again. Let's see if we get another bounce from here again. But, unless we start taking out these trend line swings like this one here, or certainly the longer term major lows down here, then I'm not really interested in doing anything with Swiss yen right now. So dollar Canadian is really entered into a little bit of an ugly phase. So here's the daily. So we had this weird looking candle. This was probably the market open last week. Or actually this would have been a couple weeks ago. We did put in this high right here, which is basically an all-time high. On this market, if you look back here on the weekly chart, there are all-time highs. Price tried to breach it and then pulled back. You can see here we've got 1, 2, 3 touches on this area up here, and so the market definitely reacted from that high. And then this was it here. We had this really weird look, and this was probably like a market open, maybe a news gap. I'd have to look at the date here. Prices pulled back, and then we tried to go up again. And then we kind of failed here to even get back anywhere near that zone. And if we put the line chart on, you can see this was actually the closing price of that weird looking candle. So price failed to make a new high. Now it's trying to go higher again the last couple of daily sessions right here. But to me, it's a little ugly. I mean, it's a failed new high. So if this comes up and is able to take out this high right here, then I'd probably be short-term bullish back towards here. But I'm just very cautious about this look up here with prices sitting, at these all-time highs up here. Again, not to say that it won't break through here. I mean, eventually some all-time high or all-time low will be broken. But I'm going to be cautious with long positions going through it, because clearly the market is rejecting this zone out here. This is the weekly chart. And so, I think, it serves you to be very cautious about trading bullish and, long positions over this zone. And the fact that we did put in this lower high right here, failed to go up again, the question is this going to go up and just keep making new highs, or is this, are we going to come up here and roll over? And if we start heading lower again, especially if we come down here and take out this low on the daily chart, then I think much lower prices are in store, at least back towards, back down in here. So again, I think you just have to be a little cautionary here. It's kind of entered into what I would consider a kind of a choppy area right now. Okay, Euro USD, as you can see, is definitely broken to the upside. And so this is also what kind of play into what I was just talking about with dollar Canadian. If this is being driven by dollar weakness, then certainly this would help bore that out. You can see on the daily chart here on the euro dollar, we were trending down, then we broke the trend line here, and now we've just rocketed. I just put the euro dollar back on my watch list. So I didn't trade any of this. Unfortunately, I wasn't even watching it until like Friday of last week, which would have been like this candle here. So, but this is pretty interesting that this is broke higher. And so, let's see if we can get continuation. But this is quite bullish. And if we put GBP, which I took the pound US dollar off, but if we just put it back on here for a minute, go to the daily chart, we pretty much have the same look. And so I do think that this is being pushed by relative dollar weakness, because we have pretty much the same look on the GBP USD and the euro dollar. And so if that's the case, then again, that would feed into my possible option here about the dollar Canadian rolling lower, just based on dollar weakness. But it looks like maybe we have some Canadian dollar weakness too. So this is kind of choppy right now, right? So if you have two weak currencies or two strong currencies paired together, you're going to get sideways price action, because you need that divergence. You need one to be strong and one to be weak, or at least one to be neutral and one to be strong for price to go up, or one to be neutral and one to be weak for price to go down. But really you want divergence. You want one weak, one strong, and the strong one will dominate. In these, because that's just the way forward, because it's pairs, right? It's not one single currency you're looking at. So you need that divergence in price and or strength. And so this, to me, is showing potential U.S. dollar weakness, but is also showing possible Canadian dollar weakness as well. It's causing range trading. And again, I don't have the dollar index up here, but if you pull up the DXY, which is the dollar index, like in TradingView, or you can just look for the DXY. I don't have it in MetaTrader. You can see the dollar index, which is basically an index of the dollar against other currencies, is actually trending down on the daily chart quite nicely. And so again, that also feeds into my thought that the dollar probably does have quite a bit of weakness right now. And so I would be looking for continuation longs in the euro dollar, pound dollar, the dollar Canadian. Again, this is not a great one right now, but maybe this will roll over and start heading down again, in which case I might be looking for more downside pressure here. But for now, it's just kind of stuck inside this range, so I'm not doing anything with that. Euro dollar we already talked about. I'm just looking for long continuations here, and it is hitting some resistance at this zone right here, which is not surprising because everybody sees this area on the chart, although it hasn't gotten here yet. But I suspect when it comes up here, we probably will have some reaction off of here, maybe a more substantial pullback. And you just have to watch structure on a shorter time frame. And again, this is just because everybody sees this area right here. So it kind of becomes, a place in the market where longs will look to short, close positions, where people that think they want to catch a top want to, sell from here, and that's going to add to selling pressure. And so, but if it gets through there, then obviously these targets up here are more realistic. So, again, short term, at least, bullish in the euro dollar, and we'll see what happens with other dollar pairs. Pound Canadian, continues to rally. And again, this, leads me back to, what I just said a moment ago, that if we have a weak Canadian dollar and a weak US dollar, that's going to cause the dollar CAD pair to range. And if that's also the true that the Canadian dollar is weak and the GBP is either neutral or stronger, then that's causing this uptrend in the pound CAD. And I just put this one back on my watch list too. I labeled, here's our recent swing right here. So there's no trade opportunity in here right now. Go to a shorter time frame, look for pullbacks, but we don't have that right now. And then lastly on Euro Aussie. So again, this thing has been in a tear. We did go up and make this kind of all-time high up here. Actually, it's not an all-time high. The all-time high is way back here. But price did go up and rejected quite strongly from this zone right here. And we had this big pullback. That's the monthly chart, which is way, way out. But now if we start drilling down a little bit here, down to the short time frames, we did have price go up, make a new high, and then, pull back, just bounces along this trend line on the shorter time frame. So if we can come up now and, take out this trend line, then we may go up and make new highs. We've now taken out this area right here. This was the last daily swing high that was rejected. And we really have already kind of broken through there. So I still am bullish on this market. I mean, at least up to here, which again, I drew this zone out basically from the line chart. If you put the line chart on, this was that swing. You can see it right here. This was the closing price of that last big move up. So that's a conservative estimate. So I would suspect that if we're going to see a continuation here, there's still a lot of headroom up to this zone here. All right, so if we can get some bullish price action to kick back in here, which is basically taking out this trend line here, this is the 30-minute chart, then I think Euro Aussie is a good buy heading higher, even though it's been on a tear. But there has been no structure break of this pair on any time frame, so I don't think there's any reason to short it right now. So, all right, so that's Euro Aussie and GBP USD we already talked about. So that's about it. So again, in Forex, probably for me the best opportunities right now would be looking for long continuations in Euro Aussie, GBP CAD, and Euro USD or GBP USD, one or the other. They're very closely correlated pairs, anyways. So dollar CAD, not really interested right now unless it breaks out of that zone, shows some continuation, and Swiss yen is sitting at those weekly lows. So again, I'm not interested in Swiss yen right now either. So those 2 or 3 Forex pairs that could have some interest for me. And then again, back in futures, we're all kind of, to me, these are all, at least on the higher time frames, are at least in pullback phases, not necessarily trend changes, but pullback phases. So I'll wait for further confirmation. And again, crude oil is sitting at these very substantial lows that the market has held before. So not really looking to short anything on crude oil through this zone. So I hope that was helpful. That's kind of where it's kind of a typical Monday, not a lot going on, a little bit of market setting up for the week. But I think things will hopefully shake loose and start moving again pretty quickly here. And we'll get, I think, a couple of opportunities in both across futures and Forex, at least in these select markets that I look at. So to be honest, I'm still looking potentially at trying to pare down the amount of markets I look at. Even for me, as long as I've been doing this, it is a lot to look at, 4 futures markets. And right now, what? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, potentially 6 Forex pairs. I mean, there's some people that just, trade one Forex pair or one futures market, and that's all they do. And I think if you're trading, especially on short time frames, you probably can do that. Because if you're trading on short time frames, there's always going to be little micro trends to trade, even inside of large, higher time frame sideways markets, right? On a shorter time frame, there's trends within there. So I think that's fine. But if you're trading on higher time frames, You're looking at, 4-hour and daily charts, for your direction. I think it's a little easier to manage looking at more because you don't have to look at it constantly because it doesn't really change that much in the course of a day when you're looking at high time frames. But it still can be a little stressful to, and you may miss an opportunity because you're just kind of trying to get through your analysis rather than really looking at what's going on. So it's something I struggle with even after all this time of trading, about deciding how many markets I look at. I have cut down a lot. I mean, for Forex, Forex is not my primary market anymore, but when it was, I mean, there was time in the past where I'd have 20, 25 Forex pairs on my watch list, and that was just ridiculous. And I wasn't even really trading long time frames. I was like still trading on like hourly time frames, 4-hour time frames. So that was ridiculous. So I've gotten much better, but I've still, have considered, just dropping it down to maybe 2 Forex pairs and 2 futures markets and just concentrating on those. And if there's no opportunity, there's no opportunity. Then you just wait. But that's something that, that's a challenge because markets don't always trend. And so if you're looking for opportunities, you may have to wait a long time if you're looking at a market that's not doing anything, or, close that one and try to find one that is trending and just work on that one. But, so that's just something that, that I'm working on myself. So, so that's something I'm still trying to decide. So, and just, concentrate on one or two. I think there's a case that can be made either way. And I know there's people that do it, and that's fine. I just haven't been able to pull the trigger yet on that and just say, you know what, I'm just going to concentrate on just one or two in each market. Assuming I'm even going to trade both classes, both Forex and futures, most people just pick one or the other. They either trade only Forex or only futures or only crypto or only stocks or only options or whatever it is. They just pick one class, one asset class, and go with that. And certainly, within that, even within that, they are very selective on what actual markets they trade. So I'm curious to know what you guys think, especially if you've been trading for a while. What your focus is. Everybody's different, so I don't necessarily go off what anybody says, but I'm just kind of curious. So, anyways, that's just kind of an aside. But that kind of wraps it up for now. I'm just, like I said, not a heck of a lot going on, but I'll keep an eye on things. But given the time of day, there probably won't be anything else today. But hopefully we get some of these log jams broke and get markets moving again, especially on these higher time frames as we go this week. So, all right, so I'll leave it there. Hope that was helpful. I'm glad to be back. And any questions, comments, leave them down below. Smash the like button, subscribe to the channel if you're watching this on the replay. And again, any questions or comments, leave them down below. I do have a Discord channel of my own. I don't really actively market it, so this honestly is very few people in there. But I will leave the link to that also in the description. And if you want to join that, if I can build that up a little bit, I probably will start posting more content. But for the couple of people that are there, it's just, quite honestly, it's not worth it. I'm better off with YouTube. But if I can build that up a little bit, then and get some conversation and stuff going in there, then I'll post more often. So look for that link in the description to Discord. It's free. I don't, like I said, I don't charge for anything here, and I never will. So that's just how I feel about that. So, all right. So have a good day, guys. I'll talk to you soon, and thanks for listening. Castaway, take care, man, and we'll catch up with you later.